Giovanna is, in my opinion, one of the best characters you can choose to play in Guilty Gear Strive. She's fairly simple to pick up as a beginner, but has enough depth to her gameplay to interest even the most expert players. My goal here is to guide people who are interested in Giovanna and teach the basic techniques required to build your game plan and dominate your enemies. I'm not going to tell you what each of Giovanna's specials does in detail, both Dust Loop and the game tells you that stuff. I'm going to tell you about the stuff the game doesn't always teach you. The most important technique to know about Giovanna, and the one I'm going to teach first, is how to use her dash. Giovanna has a very unique dash as it has 3 different states. This may sound complicated, but it's actually very simple, so bear with me. The first dash is a step dash, a very short dash that you can use to bait your opponent into pressing buttons. The way to get this dash is to dash forward and immediately hold back after the input. If you don't have a dash macro, I'd recommend setting a button to that, as especially as you advance, you will essentially need it for some of Giovanna's moveset. Giovanna's second dash is a normal length dash, just like plenty of the rest of the cast. This is very simple, just dash and that's it. Giovanna's third dash state is a far dash. By holding forward after dash, Giovanna will dash farther than normal. This is useful if you're trying to close in on an opponent from far away, and will surprise a lot of people who aren't fully aware of Giovanna's capabilities. There's one more aspect of dashing I want to bring up, and that is dash momentum. For Giovanna, you will mostly be using it to give your kick more range, but it can be used in other circumstances. Essentially, if you input dash and then push a certain normal or special, that move will retain the momentum of your dash. You can cancel your dash into a button as soon as 1 frame after dashing, and it is very useful when you want a little more range on a few attacks. So, you put your opponent in a hard knockdown state. What now? Well, this is the second technique, the art of safe jumping. This is essential to keep the pressure up on your opponents, and is surprisingly easy with Giovanna, although it will still take some practice. The first step of safe jumps is to hit your opponent with an OTG move. The easiest way to do this is to dash up and hit them with a close slash. You can also hit them with a dash and kick, but that's more inconsistent, and I'm not going into that option in this guide since it isn't necessary for the basic safe jump. After you successfully hit them with your close slash, it's time to instant air dash. In Strive, an instant air dash is as easy as 2 buttons with your dash macro. Jump up, and as soon as you're in the air, hit your dash macro. See? Super simple. And now, the final step, the jumping heavy slash. Input it right after your dash, and you should have nailed your safe jump. If you want to practice safe jumps, set a character with a reversal DP like Kai to do it on wake up. If you do your safe jump correctly, you should have time to block the attack and punish the DP. Happy labbing! This is the third technique, round start. A warning before we start though, round start is never simple, and there's no one option that solves all your problems. Giovanna has plenty of options, but I'll talk about Giovanna's main options. The first option is a heavy slash. Heavy slash is relatively fast, and it will hit the opponent with the round start spacing. It gets a good reward if it counters, but it will lose to faster buttons from your opponent, as well as the always annoying 6P. The second option is a crouching dust. This move will low profile a lot of your opponent's options, and will give big reward off of a counter hit, but it is relatively slow and unsafe. Your third main option is the tried and true 6P itself. It will only work if your opponent presses a button though, so it's a call-out option to use if you notice your opponent falling into patterns on round start. The most important thing to keep in mind about round start is that winning the interaction isn't always the most important thing to do, but rather, you want your opponent to fear round start, so make sure to keep your opponent guessing. Now that you have your opponent afraid of round start, you need to make them fear your mix as well. If you remember all the way back to the first technique, dashing, I mentioned that Giovanna is fast. Well, This is where it really comes in handy. Giovanna can dash in after pretty much any move to mix the opponent by throwing, but in this guide I'm going to break down just a couple of common mixes that are fairly easy to get the hang of. First up is a close slash. Giovanna's close slash is plus on block, giving her a huge advantage. There are a couple things you can do here. The first is to tick throw, literally throw immediately after close slash is finished. You can also delay and then dash in to throw. Another option is to delay for a little bit and then frame trap with a crouching slash. The timing may take a bit of practice, but if your opponent tries to mash on this, they will get hit. Your last option is to dash quickly and do another close slash. This resets the pressure, but the timing can be hard to get right, and the opponent can throw you out of it, which they may do if they expect you to throw anyways. We are not done with mix yet though, as I want to share one last piece, and that is the dashing kick mix. After a dashing kick on block, you can force your opponent to guess your next move by either tick throwing them or throwing out a 6p. Each option will beat the opponent trying to cover for the other in most situations, so it's a great tool to use in your pressure to keep your opponent guessing and keep your advantage going. And of course, as I mentioned earlier in this technique, if you think your opponent is going to keep blocking, you can often just dash in after whatever button you pushed and go for a throw. We have reached the end of this guide, but before you leave, I'm going to give you 3 combos. All are fairly easy, but also teach you a part of Giovanna's combo structure and will help you formulate better combos down the line.
Suddenly, my journey has begun, while everyone around bless me. Don't say bye, don't say bye. It's just a short break on the way. Don't say bye, don't say bye. Now pick up the map that was discarded.